All right, welcome back, Saints Nation. We are getting ready for game number 2 here of this NACE Star League playoff matchup, of course, between McMaster Maroon and St. Clair College. And that first game just straight up did not go as we expected. A massive bloodbath, basically, and the Saints were just getting basically everything that they could have possibly wanted in game number 1. But one thing to keep note of is last time we played McMaster, that's basically very similarly to what happened. We won game 1 and ended up going to game 3, and we didn't take it down. So we'll have to see going in the draft, game number 2, and the Yone's already banned.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's the Yone ban that we were expecting. I mean, realistically, I honestly don't think they needed to ban it out. I think the problem there was they blind picked the Zoe early on in the draft. So you got the Vi come in, you got the Yone come in, and the Zoe just becomes worthless and is just being taken by everybody. The jungle mid is just going to keep yanking it. And that's when it made the Yone look so good in that game. And I mean, not to not credit Zephrod. I think Zephrod was incredible in that game. But I think the Zoe was more the issue than the Yone was. So I think for me, it's still a good ban. Obviously, Zephrod performed really well on it. It was very comfortable on the champion. So, I mean, what does that mean they don't ban out here? I'm trying to think what they banned out in the last game instead of it.
Trying to remember off the top of my head. It's
maybe we'll see
blanks as of right now. Because Saints bans, everything's still the exact same. Graves, Yumi, Twisted Fate, all just fairly standard picks. And actually, it looks like we're trading bot lanes, basically, as of right now, as it's going to be Saints picking up the Leono Jin combo after the Misfortune was locked in here from McMaster.
I'm very surprised because Lucianami is still up and available, and I mean, Misfortune is a pretty decent answer into the Lucianami, and you can pair that with the Leona here, and it can actually be very effective into that bot lane pairing. It pretty even in the early games, so I mean, maybe that's why they opted to go for it. But we is going to get the Amumu, so most likely will be support. We haven't seen Amumu support nearly as much lately, just because it actually got nerfed in 11.21. Right. It went from 70 mana scaling down to 40 on the Q to flat 70, so it's a lot more. You play it more like a Thresh or like a Blitzcrank now, where the hooks are way more expensive to throw out, so you're not spamming them out as much. And I mean, it can work. Again, we've seen it work so well with this Misfortune Amumu combo, but it isn't nearly as effective as it was pre-nerf.
Yeah, of course, we still get the Curse of the Sad bullet time combination sometime with Alt's combination, but holy smokes, Saints just went from a team that could barely engage to the 3 of them already having some sort of hand into slowing things down.
I like it.
And that, if they do manage to get themselves into a lead, can easily snowball into some quicker executions towards some objectives.
Yeah, and I like the Vi pick here. I think, we talked about earlier, Ehug looked very good on Viego throughout this season. I think last time you looked at the Volibear Vi matchup, Ehug getting significantly ahead in that matchup, specifically a lot of ganks towards mid. But even in that jungle 1v1 and the 2v2s, it seemed like Ehug was just kind of outclassing Azui was his name, I believe. So he was just outclassing the Volibear regardless in those fights. So I do like it. St. Clair just going to answer the Volibear again with the Vi and say, okay, Ehug was better than you last time. How are you going to change that up in this game?
And they're really slowing things down. They're actually going to get rid of FaZe's Cassiopeia. So they do not want to deal with that. They don't want him to just sit back and become a powerhouse. At the same time, though, we're going to get rid of 2 mages, it looks like, here on the side of St. Clair. No Karthus for, of course, Press Our Power. And the Lux been showing up a little bit more often lately as a prominent poke mage.
And I'm kind of surprised again by this Cassio. I mean, sorry, not surprised. I think it's a good ban from McMaster here, just because you don't really need that engage now from St. Clair, because you have Leona, you have the Vi, so it doesn't require a lot of engage in the top lane. So it is going to be another Kennen ban. So we are going to see a couple of bans thrown towards FaZe there in the top lane. And I mean, St. Clair, a lot of freedom here. I think we'll most likely pick something like the Wukong, or even if you want to go for a scaling top laner, something like a Kale possibly as well.
They could actually maybe pull off the Wukong relatively safely too, because it wouldn't necessarily just be him diving in, but the Gnar kind of fills that role while also having the range safety for farming. So honestly, very nice, safe pick, and just yet another champion here on the side of St. Clair that can absolutely just dive in and engage.
Yeah, I think the Urgot might come back out of McMaster. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that answer. It can do pretty decently. Into the Gnar gets poked out early, but later on in the game is a split pushing menace, and there's not really anyone that I see on St. Clair that can deal with it as of right now. So looks like, the Sylas might be the choice here, and that would be an interesting pick. Yeah, so they are going to move away from that Zoe option. They will go towards the Sylas. A couple of decent ults he can pick up, especially the Solar Flare from Leona, the Gnar ult, even the Vi ult can all definitely be very viable on this champion. So it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, we did see the mid laner kind of get bullied out in that last game, so hoping he can turn it around here in game number 2.
Yeah, unless this all of a sudden goes like top lane or something, we'll have to see. Because if there was one lane that actually did somehow get himself a little bit ahead, it was
Ooh.
Danny Boy Uwu up in the top lane, and the Kane is going to be picked up here this time by, making things extremely interesting. So
Yeah.
now we have a situation, at least in my opinion, where
Volley's
there's a
top.
little bit of flexing going on. We don't
Yeah.
know where this is going.
Volibear is going to be going top lane here. He is pretty viable in that top lane, and I mean, doesn't do too well into the Gnar early on in the game, but can definitely hold his own in that top lane. And Kane, a very, very strong jungler, and especially good to remember. So we are going to get, I want to see it locked in. That's going to be it. So we're going to get Zephyros on LeBlanc here, as LeBlanc has looked so good in these games that he's played. So I'm very happy to see that picked up, and going to be doing really well into the Sylas pick. I think Zephyros here doing a really, really good Ricky impression. Going to try and hard carry this game number 2. And I was going to talk about the Kane, though. Specifically, Red Kane got a huge buff in 11.22, and Gore Drinker also got buffed. So right now, Red Kane is one of the highest win rates in the game. It is unbelievably strong and can be so good. And if you're looking at what St. Clair has drafted with the Gnar, with the Vi, with the Leona, that engage is going to be countered so hard by this pick. And I think really good job with this Kane pick. I think definitely McMaster will going to try and taking it back here, and definitely has a good chance to do it.
Oh, where's Commando when I need her? The resident Kane jungler of the production squad, of course. But definitely going to be interesting to say the least. I haven't personally seen Kane really get much playtime in a good little while, let alone Red Kane. So this is going to be interesting, of course, as we go through. And then, of course, Zephyros, now that he doesn't have to worry about diving into a Leona stun, it's open season here for that LeBlanc to come out and play. Going to definitely be looking forward to that one. LeBlanc versus Sylas, though. How's that go?
LeBlanc's going to be able to poke him up pretty well early, but I think mostly both these champions, LeBlanc struggling a little bit with mana early. The Sylas will probably be able to clear out his waves decently well. And later on in the game, we are going to see Sylas trying to roam to side lanes, because you see they have the Leona for St. Clair and they have the Gnar for St. Clair. So if he looks to TP into a jungle gank, or he looks to move into a side lane, it's going to be very effective because he has those big AoE CC ults that he can pick up and immediately use on the enemy. So he's going to be looking to roam. LeBlanc, again, is LeBlanc, so he's looking to roam just as well. So I think it's definitely very much a skill matchup for these two. And I'm going to looking for them to match each other's roams in these team fights.
And definitely going to be, like I say time and time again here, definitely an exciting one. But of course, like taking a look at like St. Clair's composition, at least as of right now, sure, there are like lots of follow-ups, but it does seem like McMaster has the combos, at least as of right now, as long as that bot lane can get themselves into position, and they have a ton of follow-up on top of that, lots of damage on top of the Volibear tankiness as well. So going to be a relatively even fight, I feel like, in regards to the 5v5 in terms of the team composition. No tankless St. Clair this time by, at least until they can get the Gnar Mega formed. But
I think definitely looking forward in this game, I think the mid game is going to be very, very explosive for both these teams. But late game, there isn't really a solid like scaling late game threat for either of these sides. So I think the mid game is going to get very brawly, and then it's going to come down to just pure execution on a team fight. Who's going to be able to land their AoE ultimates effectively, because you have the Volibear, you have the Sylas who can take the Gnar ult, or the Jhin ult, or not the Jhin ult, sorry, the Vi ult, or Fresh's ult as well. So it is going to be about who can land these big AoE CC ultimates properly, and that's really what's going to determine the game in the end, because that's going to be the most important. I mean, I didn't talk about the Curse of the Sad Mummy and the bullet time on top of it. So I think it's going to be these crazy team fights where everyone's going to drop a big ton of AoE CC, and then one team's going to come out on top of that. That's going to be the winner of the game.
If it gets into that situation, though, where it is like a full 5-on-5, I just feel like the potential is higher there for McMaster, depending on how well they place that Curse of the Sad Bullet time. But with St. Clair, there is just so much more potential for singling somebody out and just straight up exploding them. Yeah. So just looking forward to seeing, especially around objectives, how the Saints decide to maybe tiptoe around it. They try to bait things out, or they maybe let McMaster try to start something out here and just like pick off from the outside, or do they just try to force the 5-on-5? Like,
I
Very
think
curious.
very much for Zephrot here, it's going to be on him to try and take out this Misfortune, take out the Silas, because if he can negate one of those two people in a team fight, that is most of your damage, because Volibear will most likely be going for a brawler kind of build,
Right.
along with the Narcane going to be going red, so he will be pretty tanky, kind of a bruisery and a Mumu. I talked about him earlier on when there was a lot more of him being played, is he's going to be very effective early on in the game, but once you get to around level 10, level 11 for the support, when you're about 20, 25 minutes into the game, that's when he really starts to scale down because he doesn't get the resources that he needs to actually get tanky, right? He's just kind of an ultimate bot. He's just there for the really big AoE ult, and that's really all he's used for, right? So I think for me, if LeBlanc can get on the backline, get rid of Misfortune early on in a fight, St. Clair will be able to just effectively roll them. But if Silas can combo with this Amumu and get a really, really good AoE combo, either with the Solar Flare from Leona or with the Gnar ult, along with the Amumu Curse of the Sad Mummy, that's where McMaster can win a team fight very effectively.
Yeah, the execution, though, is a little bit tougher here for this side of McMaster in order to pull that off. If they can pull it off, it'll be more decisive wins. But there's just so much room for error, and any error is exactly where Saints want to just jump on in, because there's just, it's all just follow-ups rather than like timing combo pieces. So got a little bit more extra wiggle room for some of these extra fights, and I honestly like that here. This is a very safe composition for Saints, very standard or like more very traditional, and just gonna be curious to seeing what happens now that we have FaZe on a tank specifically, because of course we saw the Cassiopeia in the last one. Of course, traditionally we don't necessarily see Cassio up top that often, but that being said, did exactly what he needed to do. But this is a complete like playstyle shift.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be interesting to see how he could pull that off.
Yeah, it's definitely a different look for FaZe. He was pretty good on the Cassio. I mean, realistically, the game was kind of just over without him. Like, the Vi and the Yone were so far ahead that all he really had to do was just kind of farm up, get to late game, and then, they just kind of rolled anyway. So it'll be interesting to see in this game. I don't think he's going to be nearly as far ahead in the early game as St. Clair was. And it's going to be interesting to see because he did lose a couple of 1v1s to the Urgot. And I think Danny Boy definitely looked pretty good in that top lane against him. So I think it'll be a lot more of a threat on this Volibear and Gnar matchup. I think Danny Boy can definitely get the better of him if he's able to engage him with a gank from his jungler with this Kayn early on in the game, because the mini Gnar is very, very susceptible to ganks early because it's 22-second cooldown on that E. So if he ends up using it, he's going to be forced to flash out, and Kayn, once he transforms, can have a decent amount of CC to stop him. So I think definitely have to play pretty safe here for FaZe in the top lane, and I'm interested to see where the Vi pathing goes to.
Yeah, especially is it going to try and help out FaZe maybe a little bit? Because if there was any lane that felt like it didn't get stomped on the side of McMaster, it was Danny Boy up there in the top lane. However, regardless of how well Danny Boy did, the champion pick kind of limited him. The Urgot isn't necessarily meant to be that hard carry, right? It's more of a lane pressure into off-tank
facilitator of how team fights, how you can play around the team fights, and he's looking for anything, that big R in a team fight where he can take someone in, flash forward, get the fear on 4 people, and that's what you want to do, is try and get that CC with the flip on the E as well. Try and just walk in, be able to tank up a lot of the damage that they offer, and try and get someone back into your team comp. And I mean, when you're looking at the amount of engage that St. Clair has, he is going to have a pretty ample opportunity to do that with his Volibear because there's going to be so much engage. So if someone goes into the team, he can stun them up, get a lot of his burst damage down with that Sunder built up, and can definitely be effective in the team fight. But again, like I said, it's going to come down to team fight execution, who can land those big AoE ults, and who's going to be able to get those assassinations of backline, because we're going to look for the Silas on the backline as well as the LeBlanc on the backline and try and take out these ADCs, because once one of those damage dealers drops, that's really going to be when the team fights start to turn, and whatever team in the team that took them out, that team's players are going to have an advantage in the team fight. Anyway,
I know what you're getting at.
Yeah,
all good, all good.
All right.
Now, if Danny Boy, for example, were to somehow get ahead up there in that top lane, could he can you build a slightly more damagey Volibear build, or is it still too risky in this situation?
You can go something like a Wit's End. You could go you could go something like a Black Cleaver. But mostly you're looking for the Sunder, and then you go tank, because you offer a decent amount of burst damage with your EQ auto combo early on in the game, especially with the press the attack. But the problem is, once you get later on in the game, you don't have really an opportunity to keep taking that W, keep getting that HP back, because your team fights are going to be a lot more messy, and they're not going to be just you trying to bully someone out in lane. So
Right.
I think you can do that, but unless you're like lots of gold, unless you're multiple thousands of gold ahead of your laner, that's really not what you want to build, because you're not looking to split push, you're looking to team fight.
Right. Okay. Yep, fair enough in that regard. Without further ado, game number 2 is now underway. Of course, Saint's still going to be on your right-hand side of things. McMaster on the left. Lines of scrimmage across the board. Here we go.
Exciting game number 2. St. Clair up a game already on McMaster. McMaster on the back foot here, trying to recover. Definitely, I don't think it'll be as explosive of an early game as it was in the last one. We are going to see Kane walk up here, and I don't know if they took the bait. So it's a funny interaction. We saw this actually happen a couple times at Worlds. So what will happen is the jungler will walk up to this top jungle, and then he'll fake putting a ward down. So you'll see Vi most likely will back. He's going to buy a sweeper. Oh, we can't really see. We'll see. Yeah, so he bought a sweeper. He's going to walk back towards red, and he's going to sweep that bush. But there's not going to be a ward in there. So it'll be like you're getting a free... you're kind of like getting it's a very small advantage, because you're just kind of burning the sweeper early on, but it's kind of the mind games of it, right, where you think you're going to get free XP, so you use that sweeper to try and take out the war, but it's not really there. So it's an interesting little interaction that we've seen junglers do it, and it's kind of funny to see.
Small moral victories, the got 'em moments here for the side of McMaster. Nicely done. And sure enough, yeah, we do see Vi near camp looking for it, but not going to quite find it this time. Vi. Right side starts for both, it looks like. And where are we going to see both these junglers end up going here?
Yeah, so you can see early on, Zephrot going to have a push here. E not going to make contact, though, so Zephrot going to get the electric proc off. Will do a little bit of damage here. And I think for St. Clair, they're going to definitely have an advantage here early on in the laning phase, especially in mid and top lane. Vi will have be a slightly faster farm than this Kane will until he transforms. So I'm definitely looking for Vi to take this advantage, try and maybe gank towards top lane. Or maybe even the Silas is going to be hard just because he will be constantly pushed in, but I definitely think top lane somewhere that Ia can look to try and gank early on in this one.
I did see basic a little bit damage, but they'll battle on the bot lane.
Is that going to come down for both these supports here? Who's going to drop first? It's going to be first blood over for Jaeger, and that Amumu is going to barely survive here. Some fighting going on here. They are going to auto-attack back and forth here, but they will back off in the end. So first blood over to McMaster there, and somehow the Amumu survives. And that's the advantage you want to look for heading into this game number 2.
Yeah, smart on Jaeger there. They even started trading out there with Barlow for a little bit, but pulled back right as shot number 4 was ready to come down. Of course, are the one with the big old crit and bonus damage on top of that one. So able to keep him alive. The Swift Slug, beautifully done, just extending just as much as necessary. But a little bit of a rougher start here for St. Clair, but it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, for sure. And we are going to see, like, it was a commitment. Ooh, E not going to catch, though. Zephyr will be able to walk away from it. Still holding that advantage in mid lane. And if you look in the bot lane, we are going to see Leona with this Hex Slash up, so she still will have that kill threat. In the bot lane, Cleanse was saved on both the ADCs, though, so it won't be too bad. And I think a good flash there by Swifty. So important was he saved that for that final auto on Jhin. So the fact that Misfortune was able to get that Q, the double tap of Fresh with an early roam here in mid, going to force the flash from this Silas out, and that's a really good advantage for LeBlanc in this mid lane, because that means she will get to shove out for free, and those roams are not going to be nearly as effective as they would be.
Even before the Fresh made the roam, you could tell that Zephrot just seems very, very comfortable with this matchup as right now, but almost a little bit of a battle up in the top lane, but FaZe going to just do a little sidestepping.
Importantly, too, he kept his flash there, so he did have the E up and available, was able to hop away from the Volley Bear stun. And like I said, if you can keep that E for those ganks, that is really your only escape other than a flash. So it is a pretty long cooldown. And the fact that FaZe still has this flash is going to be very important, because I'm expecting this Kane to look for a regank in top lane sometime very soon.
Absolutely. Again, they're like I was saying for a second there, Zeph just seems so comfortable versus Silas, is just able to like sidestep chains like it's nobody's business. Has just been able to overall just comfortably farm up and comfortably harass Quinn's fanboy here in the mid lane over and over again. Level advantage just barely in the pocket here for Zephrot, but Quinn's fanboy still 3/4 health, still relatively healthy.
We are going to see Vi farming up the Raptors here. Looking at the Silas. Silas with no flash is very, very vulnerable here. We're going to see Fresh moving up through the river towards mid lane here. This could be a 3-man dive on mid turret. Looks like They're going to wait a second. No, they're going to back off of it. So they don't know where the Amumu is. Amumu started roaming up here through the jungle. So they are going to call it off and look to maybe get this dragon, actually. So they're going to start it up. But I'm pretty sure that McMaster is aware of this. So they will move down. And St. Clair has this vision for the scuttle. But they aren't going to force the issue. It will be cleared out here in just a moment by the Amumu. And both parties will just part ways.
And it's just letting Barlow just power farm basically by himself. Get just a little bit more extra level advantage over Jaeger, because like all while they were kind of pushed in there, Jaeger went back, and it was just all like perfect timing there for Barlow to just like farm up as best as possible. And of course, with the supports roaming, like we see both supports here still level 3, extremely squishy, but we have a gank on bot lane.
Flash gonna come out really early from the Jhin here. Ooh, the E will land. Flash gonna be forced out of this Kayn. Vi gonna join in on this fight as well. Stun gonna come out here. Q gonna land as well, but Cleanse Flash gonna come out as gonna come through. Barlow gonna get Swift Slug though. Ignite gonna tick down. Yes, it will be a 1-for-1 change here. Barlow looking for that 4-shot. Not gonna find it though, so it will be a 1-for-1 in the end. Supports traded for both sides.
Just slowly but surely burning down here, and we see even FaZe up here in the top lane really starting to give Danny Boy just a little bit more of a hard time under turrets. Even, okay, not necessarily a CS lead as of right now. Danny Boy able to control that one for at least the moment, but like Saints showing that now that they actually have some champions that can engage, they're ready and like ready to make it work. Maybe to a little bit of their own deficit as they maybe pull the trigger a little bit too aggressively, but it's interesting to see the difference in playstyles.
Yeah, and gold actually relatively even across the board. Just 100 difference here for McMaster here, but there could be fresh in a dangerous spot. Doesn't have flash from the last engage. Will be bursted down here. All going to come down, but not going to catch anyone. Stun going to come through on Barlow. Zephyr going to get the first kill onto the jungler there. Is he going to go down? The King going to come down. That's a nice TP. Going to get another kill. Barlow going to be taken down, but Ehug going to answer back with one on Amumu. Quinn Spanboy has nowhere to go. Will land the chains though. Will get one. Try and answer back heals, but no, it's not going to be enough in the end. 3-for-2 for St. Clair, and they're getting the dragon as their prize.
Holy smokes. Right now, like, Prince Fanboy, that Leona ultimate's going back onto Barlow absolutely removed him from the fight instantly, to the point where this dragon is just taking an absolute eternity to really go down. But still, a 3-for-2, relatively close fight still, but Saints barely going to find themselves with a lead after that one.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse if Fanboy had not found that E-chain onto the backline there. Was able to just barely get Jhin at the end, so that could have definitely been more like a 3-1 for St. Clair if he didn't land that one, or even a 3-for-0. So really well played there. And I mean, Zephyr now 102, and again, this could be an engage though. Zephyr gonna have to dodge away, but no, he won't be able to dodge away from those chains. Zephyr trying to get away. That's going to be a kill over to Silas. Zephyr will be taken down here, and a kill over to McMaster. So pretty even early game here so far for both sides. The only advantage really, St. Clair with that Cloud Dragon.
Poor Swift Slug makes his way all the way up there. It's like, come on, man, I just want an assist. Let me hit him once, but not quite going to be the case. Unfortunately, there, the struggles of melee supports, but nonetheless helping set that up in the end. And now all of a sudden, in terms of the mid lane, it's going to be Quinn's Fanboy. He's having a little bit of a hard time in the opening phases of the lane phase, but now sitting 3-1. Nice little jump start to his items compared to the Zoe game last time.
We are going to see Vi picking up the lethality items here again, looking for this Yumu's just to get that early move speed, helps the clear go faster, and both junglers are going to be up here. And Zephyr will be roaming as well. There will be Silas just coming back to lane, but no gank going to come through just yet. But I was going to say, so with Herald being taken here pretty early on, a lot of damage for this Vi right now has that lethality item, the Serrated Dirk, as well as 3 longswords, while there's only the chainsword for Kayn here. So I don't know if they'll actually contest this one because they can't call, this is going to be engaged in mid lane. They force the Silas out, so they actually, engage in bot lane. Nice Q there by Swift Fishing there. That's going to be a free kill for Jaeger. So the Fresh's Roam was punished there. Really nice chain through the minions by the Amumu, and another kill over to this Misfortune.
And honestly, finally, we've seen the Saints do this just over and over again across basically all of their matches, and very rarely do I actually see a team then push the AD carry. They just kind of like maybe try to poke them out, but then sort of let them be. But no, just straight up, you're in between your 2 turrets. You're still not safe. Send them all the way backpacking, and now Barlow forced to just pick up a couple items with whatever he has and try to get back to lane. And it's going to force Fresh to maybe stay down here a little bit.
Ultimate going to be burned really early here actually for FaZe, but I think it's actually strategic because you see this Vi going to be back behind the wall. There'll be a flash committed. TP going to come through as well, but Vi going to be on the backside here. We'll go for the ult. It's going to come through here in just a second. Unstoppable. Ult going to come through anyway here. Danny Boy going to be taken down here in just a second, but that's going to be a quick kill. No, actually, we'll be able to get out of it. Eog trying to escape here from this. Silas will be able to get out here. That red buff saving his life. FaZe here going to have to clean up this fight. We'll get that third proc, but there's going to be LeBlanc up here as well. Shutdown going to come through for Gnar anyway, and that was so smart for St. Clair. Gets them 2 kills and gets this Gnar further ahead in the top lane.
I honestly thought Quinn's fanboy coming up there and getting the Gnar ultimate from himself would have turned that around, but that wasn't the case at all. And actually, the Kane kind of stuck in a little bit of awkward position.
Doesn't have his transformation just yet. Solar Flare is not going to be able to catch, but the E will, so that will be another kill. Barlow going to pick that one up. A couple plates response in the bot lane, but that's a nice kill onto your ADC. And, I mean, I want to go back to this top lane engage, right? So, what happened was Kane, they spotted him on vision, was not in that top half of the jungle. So, they wanted to do this gank. So, what FaZe did was he burned the R really early on, right? So, he burned the R, and then Volibear thought, okay, he burned his R, he has nothing back. So you saw him flash forward to try and take advantage of it. But what he didn't realize was this Vi was just sitting there waiting for this gank to happen. So as soon as he committed that E and his flash, they could go all in for him, get that early kill. And yes, a good response there by the mid laner for McMaster. But I mean, in the end, Eog just barely escaping with that red buff and ended up being a 2-0. So just really smart play by FaZe here, stepping into Ricky's shoes and just really doing such a great job as a replacement in this top lane. There's going to be an engage here in mid. Danny Boy going to find 2 people, but Fishing going to find 2 as well. That's going to be a double curse of the sad mummy. Going to be shut down here. And this LeBlanc trying to run away. Zephyrock will be able to escape. Ultimate going to come down from Kane here. Dash is available. Not going to go the same way, though. Going to barely survive, but no, Z will take him down there. That's going to be 2 kills over for McMaster.
Does going through the terrain block the turret shot?
I don't know, actually. I don't think so.
Okay, so just barely living by a thread nonetheless there, though. But honestly, nicely done there for the side of McMaster, getting themselves the double. It looks like it was going to be a bit of a fool me twice kind of situation here for Danny Boy, jumping in onto Zephyr, and all of a sudden, sure enough, he hugged there with the Vi, diving in to stop things. But this time, it was Danny Boy who had the reinforcements coming and able to turn that around, get 2 eliminations for themselves, and get themselves the lead here in this game.
It's one of those classic examples of you need your roams to be smart, not excessive, right? Because you saw Leona multiple times, left lane, went to go check on other lanes, went to try and help and push waves up, was roaming quite a lot. Amumu not nearly roaming quite as often, but the one time he does roam, lands a beautiful Q, gets the double stun, and that's 2 kills for them. That's going to be an ult picked up for Quinn's fanboy here, but Zephyr will have to back off. The Silas actually starting to do a bit of damage. Did pick up this Merc Tread, so will be pretty effective here, and will be objectives traded across the map. So St. Clair going to take this dragon, and we'll get the Herald Charge on top, actually. So St. Clair just playing the macro pretty well there and gets themselves back to this gold gap within 1k.
Yeah, never mind the trade. That was just like Saints taking things from across the map, it looks like. But FaZe, looking like he's about to get jumped on there. Gonna have to essentially panic Gnar to get Danny Boy off of him, but still safe so far.
Yeah, once you get level 11 on the Gnar, his cooldown becomes pretty low on the ultimate, so you can just kind of use it. But that's going to be an ult in the mid lane, and Quinn's fanboy going to get assassinated by this Yumu's Vi as well as the LeBlanc here. Going to be a quick flash here by FaZe, try and get out. Will be able to escape. Ultimate going to come down from Danny Boy here. Turret will be turned off here for the moment. Will FaZe be able to survive? No, Danny Boy going to take him down. So the solo kill for the Volibear in top lane. That's going to be disaster for that top lane. Again, drawing the gold just about even.
Yeah, no ultimate, no mega form. That is a dead Gnar. Nicely done there from Danny Boy to be able to finish the job and going to be able to get a couple turret plates for himself as well, just to try and keep McMaster in the lead. But we did just see an example there of exactly what can happen if Saints are able to solo somebody out. Like, Quinn's fanboy may have had himself a rather solid start to this game, but still gets completely exploded if like one piece of CC actually hits him.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, looking across the map, gold, only 500 difference, pretty even, but key here. Oh, this is going to be, never mind, it's going to be engaged on top before I can even talk. Jagger going to be stunned up here, but will barely escape. Curtain Call going to come out here. We'll be able to get him. 500 gold shutdown for the gym, but he's going to be taken down by the turret, so Jagger will get a kill in a response. ADC for ADC, and both teams will disengage. That is tragic for St. Clair.
Yeah, heartbreaker there. The curtain call happened while the turret was focusing him, and it was just that extra hit that just unfortunately AD carries don't necessarily tank turrets very well. So going to end up trading 1 for 1 there in that regard. Of course, Jaeger still has the ultimate on deck if Max Dragon does come around sometime soon.
Yeah, but I was going to say, so the thing is, the gold's about even, but there's Cloud Soul and Mountain Soul taken here for St. Clair, which means it will be, I believe it'll be, yeah, it's Infernal Soul. So St. Clair with the double dragon advantage here does mean McMaster is going to be forced to fight at these next 4 dragons, because if you give up soul point, if you give up that soul, it is going to be very, very hard for you to win this game, because there's going to be so much AD and AP for these players from St. Clair.
Right, I was about to ask, that Infernal Soul is the one with the bonus damage, right?
Yeah. Bonus AD and AP. And when you hit them with something, it does a burst of damage around them.
This could be trouble, though. They're going for the Rift Herald, and they're actually going to get jumped on.
Oh, this could be, yeah, they are going to try and take this Rift Herald here in the top lane. TP going to come through as well. Fresh going to be taken down here in just a second. So Danny Boy going to go on a killing spree on this Volibear here. So they will end up paying for that attempt on Herald, and that will be taken by McMaster. So McMaster fighting back here, taking some objectives for themselves, and I mean the gold now about even for both these sides, so definitely a close game, a lot closer than that game 1 was here in game number 2.
Oh, absolutely. We see a couple gold leads even amongst the lanes themselves here from McMaster. We see, even though Quinn's fanboy may have gone down maybe the 3 times, they're still overall in the lead. And going to pop the solar flare just because it was probably about to go off of cooldown, but like overall, just a much more even game. Some of the gold for McMaster is actually where you kind of want it. It's on your Misfortune, it's on your Silas, and then it's even on Danny Boy as well.
Oh, big flash in the mid lane. Curse Summon to come down as well, but that's going to be a quick death for Ehug here. Will be traded back onto Jaeger, though. Flash going to come out from Jin. Will he try and escape this? Or going to come down on that turret. Danny Boy going to dunk him down under the mid turret there. It will go down as well. Fresh going to try and escape, but that Leon has nowhere to run. She is done for, and that is another kill over. They're going to look for more here. A double kill for Danny Boy here, showing his claws on this Volibear and being so effective now in this game where he was behind.
Oh, this is the problem with having the Gnar pick too. Unfortunately there for FaZe, was not necessarily at the fight and did not have the Mega Form either. It was just kind of stuck throwing boomerangs from the outside. Could not go in, and it's going to force Saints to maybe try and take a counter engage after the fact.
Azee will flash out here, but it's going to be a flash response from Zephrod here. We'll get that kill cleaned up, so we'll be 1 back in response. Swifty will be able to run away here, won't be engaged by that Gnar. So it was an answer here, and Azee burning the flash there does get a flash response out of Zephrod. But, I mean, in the end, Danny Boy now at 5-1-1 on this Volibear. And we see he actually did opt to go for the Black Cleaver Turbo Tanks, or Black Cleaver Turbo Tank build, which is...
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting. It was way more popular before they nerfed Turbo Chem Tank. It was nerfed. There was a lot more speed that you got, and it stacked with your Q a lot more. But now it's, I mean, it's not as effective. But, I mean, he's 5-1, so it's pretty decently effective still.
I was going to say, I'm still scarred from the days of seeing Udyr just run around in bear form with that thing on.
That was, that era of League, it was terrifying playing a squishy solo laner because, it doesn't matter, I don't got time for that. It's going to be another engage here, and Jaeger going to be taken out really early here. That's going to be Fishing going down, or Swift Slug being taken down as well, so that's going to be a double kill for St. Clair, and that is the thing with Vi. You press the R on the Misfortune, and you cannot stop that Vi from running into her, so she just gets 1 shot. And now it's a 3 dragon for St. Clair, and they're going to be on soul point here in game number 2.
The difference, however, actually, hang on a second. Okay, no. But the difference this time compared to the last team fight, Ehug went in the first time and just instantly got exploded. Like, okay, yeah, you may have like 4 eliminations at that time, and you may have been like relatively ahead, but you're still squishy for being a initial engager. So, like, was really rough in that case. But in this next engage that we just had there, not only did Ehug go in, but everybody was with him to blow up the targets individually so that the damage did not get turned onto Ehug, which is good to see.
Ooh, Zephrod going to dodge the stun, but will not be able to dodge that one. LeBlanc all going to come down as well. Going to be able to dodge away from everything, but doesn't have another distortion to work with. Will dodge away from the slow, actually. So Zephrod going to live for quite a while here. Going to get the chains landed. Going to try and walk away here, but that's going to be a Kane coming to clean it up. So Azui wanted that kill. Going to pick up the 2nd kill of this game. And in the end, just a pick here. And the top lane turret going to go down as well. So McMaster, a nice pick onto Zephrod, and will get them a top turret as well.
I say though, props to McMaster for passing that one over to the Kane, but we still have even more engagements happening.
Ehug looking for the ultimate. Yeah, that's going to be... That's Misfortune going down here. Ult going to come down as well from the Leona, but that's going to be a trade. Ehug going to go down as well. Jaeger going to go down in a trade. Swift Slug support's going to be fighting each other. Jing going to be walking up. Nice flash there to get out from that Q, but there's going to be a 2nd charge on that Q coming up real soon, and there is 3 members of McMaster on your tail. Fresh, keep running, keep running, Jin. Jin going to be here to support you, but no, the F-Frost going to come down as well, and Fresh going to be taken down here in just a second. So Quince fanboy going to pick up that kill in the end, a 2-for-1 for McMaster.
Insert the Benny Hill theme for that one. Fresh was running for his
Oh,
life.
running for the hills,
Benny, but
please.
unfortunately, does end up going down slowly but surely. You're not going to be able to 1v3 that, not as a support, not at all. So fair enough in that regard, but still lots of time before really any sort of objective play comes in, unless somebody wants to get really cheeky with the fast Baron. But still 3 minutes for the next dragon.
Yeah, and importantly there too, in that top lane pick onto Zephrod, he did have 7 stacks on his Dark Shield. Now he's down to the 2, so definitely not as effective as it was before he got picked off there. And I mean, right now, builds looking pretty even across the board. We do see the only difference really is in this jungle, where it is the Gore Drinker built for the Kayn, while Vi is sitting on the Sunder and the Yumus here. So again, E-Hug in the lead in the jungle, not something too surprising. We've seen it throughout this entire season, basically. He has been doing so well, but I mean, in this game specifically, we were talking with production earlier about the fact that Vi is strong in the early and mid, but when you get to that late game, you press the R button, you're forcing yourself into this team, you are just going to get taken down immediately because you don't have those tanky stats to keep yourself alive.
Yeah, like if you've got yourself far enough ahead to the point where you can maybe like combo a squishy target, then okay, sure. But on your average target, yeah, Vi's just going to get out-traded, basically, and get blown up at the end of the day. And, like, yes, 6 eliminations, 5 assists, solid. So, like we saw with those last engagements, like, Jaeger has to be extremely careful, especially with picking up the Misfortune, having no actual escapes in your kit to really work with.
Ooh, ult picked up here. Both of these members are going to have ult available. Stun not going to be able to hit, though. So Fanboy will walk away. Still has a Gnar ult available for the AoE teamfight, but there is a lot of members of both teams going to be here to back him up. So both teams will just disengage here. Just a little bit of poke, a little bit of fun in the bot lane, draw everyone down there. But again, St. Clair with pretty strong control of this bot jungle right now. And Dragon isn't up for another minute and a half, but we're going to look for a reset sometime soon. Both supports will be looking to get some more wards out. Going to be looking for a lot of control wards and some inventories very soon on a reset. And you're going to be fighting for this Dragon Soul here in just a minute's time.
Yeah, slowly but surely getting set up for this one. It's going to be, again, just all up to the execution of these team fights here. Even though like the past little bit seems like it's been like kind of going towards the Saints' favor, the gold is saying otherwise, just ever so slightly. 17-14 kills and then 41-40. So just still such a close matchup here. Trying to see where the major discrepancies are.
It's going to be the mid lane. Mid lane is down about 1,500.
Yeah.
And then ADC about 700 difference between them. So that is kind of the 600 difference between them. So that is where the main body of this gold difference is. But again, it is only 1K, 1.5K. It's nothing too crazy. So especially at this point in the game, it's not going to mean that much. A little bit of poke put down there by Zephrod onto the Amumu, down to about half HP here. And the problem is, right, if you're McMaster, you can't give up this soul, but St. Clair can also say, okay, they have to take this dragon. We can opt to go for this Baron and just lead it, but they do not want to just give it up here. Chain's going to land as well onto this Volibear. Will be rooted up, but he is pretty tanky with that chem tank, so we'll be able to just take a lot of that poke. And St. Clair is going to have to look for an engage here. We're going to look for this Gnar specifically. FaZe going to try and build up his rage here, get that ultimate available, because he is going to be their main source of engage here. Look for a big AoE fight, and this is going to be where a big fight's going to happen very, very soon.
Yeah, just a matter of time. Going to be definitely keeping an eye on the positioning of both of the AD carries. It's going to be all on top of Jaeger and, of course, onto Barlow. We finally have the engagements. Looking to get started. Here we go.
In the back line there, Eog going to pop a really early stopwatch. That's going to be a couple ults coming out. Bullet Rain going to come down onto this Gnar. We'll get the ult out as well, but that's going to be Volibear coming in for an answer. A lot of AoE ults being used, but no death just yet. Fresh going to come down on the bot line, force a flash out of Jaeger here, but Jaeger will survive. Going to come down the back line. Danny does get Gnar. In the meanwhile, that's going to be double kill for a response here for St. Clair, but that's going to be 2 for 2, a 3 for 2 now for the side of McMaster, and they might look for this Baron, but there's still 2 members alive, including the jungler for St. Clair. So in the end, a 3 for 2. A lot of ultimates whiffed there, actually, in that team fight. It was pretty scrappy, but in the end, it looks like there will be a pretty decent health lead for this Volibear, and that means the Dragon will go over to McMaster, and they will let the soul wait out here. No, Yug looks like he might want to contest it here. Doesn't have any vision, though, so we'll back off, and that's going to be the Dragon for McMaster.
And McMaster played that basically front to back, just taking care of both of the tanks and then slowly moving towards the damage. almost to the point of their own fault. Like we did see Sephiroth just kind of sharking around in the back end, just looking to try and get the jump onto Jaeger, but could never actually pull it off. Whether it was waiting for a cooldown or whatnot, because Danny Boy was still, while he was like kind of getting melted down a little bit, just was really making it difficult for Sephiroth to really move around. So the tanks just zoning out the damage on the side of St. Clair, doing exactly what they need to do. Even though some of the ultimate placements from, like, say, the bullet time in that case wasn't maybe as effective as it could have been, no harm, no foul, because you didn't get punished.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a really, really important thing there was you saw E-Hug queued over the wall. I don't know if it was a misclick or if he was afraid of some kind of ultimate coming down or something, but he stopwatched super early in that fight. And what you want your Vi to do effectively in this team fight is press the R button on the Misfortune, get the knock-up, and then once you get the knock-up, your LeBlanc can come in with the double distortion and just instantly kill the Misfortune and get her out of that fight. So that was a little bit scuffed, and that's why you did see Jaeger survive, get that bullet timeout. And I mean, in the end, it was still a pretty even fight. It was only a 3-for-2, but this Volibear being 7-1-3 with 3 items is just so tanky that St. Clair just doesn't have the tools to be able to actually take him down in these extended team fights.
And honestly, good for McMaster as well, being able to just delay this Dragon Soul possibility just that much more now by taking the Infernal for themselves. Gonna have to now put that on another 5-minute timer. 3:25 to be specific, it looks like, in this situation, but just enough time to reload everybody's ultimates and go for another fight. And to be honest, McMaster's looks good when they're grouped.
Oh, that's a nice engage here. Another nice Amumu bandage land. He's gonna get the second one as well. Fresh gonna have to use the ult here to get this Kane down. Gonna try and run away. We'll have the backup of his ADC, but it's not gonna matter. There's 5 people here for McMaster, and Fresh going down yet again. And Baron is on the cards here for McMaster.
Absolutely rough here for St. Clair now. One of the main engagers gone from the side of St. Clair, and it's all going to be basically onto the Gnar and the Vi to really engage this one. And right now, FaZe is just worrying about that bot turret. It does have teleport available, but what about this Baron? It's already down to halfway.
Yeah, looks like they will try and get a ward in here. Maybe looking for a steal. All going to come down anyway. That's going to be so much CC. Vi going to be forced out here. Going to go for the steal. No, it's not going to be enough. McMaster does take the Baron. TP going to come through actually for FaZe here, but he's not going to get anything from it because they will just back off. So in the end, bot turret was taken by FaZe, but Baron will be taken by McMaster here. Looks like St. Clair going to force them all the way back into their own jungle, but won't result in anything. So in the end, just a Baron for McMaster, and St. Clair just going to get a bot turret.
I'm really surprised to see the teleport come out from FaZe there anyway, because like you were saying, like the damage is already done. What can you really force from that situation? Maybe looking for a pick or something, but even then, just might have been a little bit better just to have that for a little bit later on in the game. But of course, we're behind the commentary desk for a reason and not players, so we'll definitely trust their judgment in that regard. High intensity situation here, and just looking at Danny Boy right now, that elimination feed right now, 7 eliminations already, only the 1 death. So much more prominent now that he's on a champion that can actually like take control of the game a little bit more.
Yeah, I think definitely Swift Slug here has been the best player in this game so far. Some crucial bandage tosses that he's landed. You saw there, bandage tossed over the wall, got the ultimate down on Vi, forced her out, and then you couldn't even go for a smite steal there. You had to just hassle the LeBlanc to go in for distortion, and Sephiroth tried, but obviously it's hard to beat out a smite on a jungler.
Absolutely.
So I think very, very well played there by Swift Slug, and he's really been the key factor in this game. He's been caught on Fresh. The dangerous spot, but will walk out here. And I think definitely the better of the supports this game. Fresh has just been constantly caught out in a lot of these roams that he's made throughout this mid game, and it's cost St. Clair a lot so far. And I mean, the problem is, right, is you have a Gnar who's kind of like a pseudo tank. He isn't really too tanky. You see here only has the Sunder and the Sterix, and just pick up the Deadman's Extra, so we'll be a little bit tanky. But most of the time, he didn't have a lot of tanky stats. So when you're Fresh, when you're trying to get these wards down, when you're trying to clear out a lot of these control wards that McMaster has put down, you don't have someone else with you. Normally, you have a jungler with you, but because Eog is playing this Assassin Vi role, he can't really walk into this jump. That's going to be a quick cleanse. Gale Force out from the Jhin here, so we'll be an engaged. Fresh going to go down here in just a second, and Fresh again caught in the wrong place. That's going to be an ult straight to the back line. Freya going to be forced to flash out here. Jaeger barely living here, but we'll go down here in just a second. So still going to take a borrow. In the meanwhile, though, FaZe going to finally get this Misfortune, but what will it cost St. Clair? Sephiroth, barely on any HP here, is forced to flash out. That's going to be FaZe going down here in just a second, and a 3-for-1, a 4-for-1 here for McMaster. Absolutely beautiful team fight from them, and they get it all. Yeah, that's going to be it. Sephiroth will go down here in just a second. Danny Boy going to look for the E, ult the turret just for fun, and that's going to be Zephyros. The ace going to come through,
man.
and McMaster with a Baron can try and push to end this game.
Yeah, if not end, they're going to still definitely do a heck of a lot of damage here. And just the team fights here for McMaster just absolutely on point. Just able to capitalize whenever someone's out of position. And right now, like Barlow getting kind of caught out a little bit, did end up living for at least a little while, but it did in turn catch Fresh, who was trying to get back and like save their teammate, and just started the engagement for the Saints way earlier than they possibly would have wanted. And it was already like a 4v5 by the time everybody got there.
That was an absolutely crucial stopwatch from Misfortune there, right? Because it forced FaZe to stay on top of her while that stopwatch duration was going on and just wait to try and clean her up. But in the end, she flashed out anyway, and FaZe couldn't even clean her up. So I think really, really well played there by Jaeger. Just save the stopwatch till he's down very low. But that's going to be an ult here. Stopwatch going to cancel it. But there's just going to be 2 members up here for the side of McMaster. So it will be a shutdown for this LeBlanc, and try and run down this Volley, but Volley going to be able to run back to his tier 2 turret, so he will be able to stay alive. But a quick pick there for St. Clair, and LeBlanc getting a little bit more gold. Hopefully can try and shore up this gold gap, because now it's expanded to 5k in McMaster's favor.
Yeah, small victories. We take that. Getting that bounty is definitely successful, but at the same time, there are no objectives on the board for the Saints to really push to try and push that advantage for the time being. So, like, yep, they got the golds, but that's really about it, and it's not really too harmful here for McMaster overall.
Yeah, I think definitely this game's going to keep coming down to these dragons. McMaster on 2 Infernal Drakes already. St. Clair still has Infernal Soul Point, but the problem is going to be this Vi is going to go in this backline, try and take down this Misfortune. Doesn't have the stopwatch available anymore. Will have the GA before this next fight starts up. So as you see later on in this game, the Vi just becomes less and less useful, because she commits the R and then she has no way out of a fight. So unless you have LeBlanc going out on top of that backline and able to take out this Misfortune instantly, it's not really useful. But that's going to be Zhonya's popped here in bot lane. Going to get the Q as well on the Danny Boy here. Has the ultimate available, just waiting it out. Will be able to get him down quite low. LeBlanc chains are going to land here. Root going to come down. Danny Boy going to be pretty low here. Will be taken down. That's going to be a 1,000 gold shutdown to E-Hug there. So we'll get a lot of progress here. No objectives up, but that is a huge gold in the pocket of E-Hug here.
Yeah, 1 bounty gone, okay, and like we can live with that. But a second one, especially onto Danny Boy, who's arguably doing the best overall in regards to their the ratio, like that's definitely going to be huge. Granted, they do answer with a top turret, so they get a little bit of gold back for themselves, but they have to be careful. They find themselves picked off, and the Saints can definitely blow up a single target. Maybe not necessarily Danny Boy, but you can chip away him over time still.
Yeah, and the good thing now for St. Clair is they can clear out a lot of this vision from around the Baron pit, because they know this Volibear is not here yet. Does have TP available, so they can't necessarily start up this Baron, but it does mean they will have an advantage here. It's going to look like they're going to try and start a fight here. E-Hug with the GA available means he won't die, but Swift Slug will go down here in just a second. All going to come through. We'll be able to catch out Jaeger here. Going to do a lot of damage. That's going to be LeBlanc coming in the background. Going to get Jaeger as well. Stopwatch to come down from the jungle as well. Double knock up here for the Silas, but he's going to stopwatch as well. Stopwatch is all over the map. Fresh going to look for the E. Not going to be able to find it though. So much damage coming into the Silas. He's staying alive. A beautiful knock up there. Going to get 3. That's going to be them turning this fight around. Quinn's fanboy going to get Zephyros. And just when St. Clair looked like they had some hope in this game, they get turned around on, and McMaster completely taking advantage of it, win the fight. They will get this Baron, and they might try and end this game right here and right now.
Holy smokes, as soon as Danny Boy gets back and teleports in, it was just in a completely different fight. You can see that the Saints, like, sure, they had a little bit of damage onto Jaeger, but it did not necessarily matter. There was just so much damage from their tankier members, and then the Kane and the Silas as well. Just so much damage across the board, and they just survived for so long. Absolutely incredible.
That was a really, really good knock-up, too, by the Kane. He knocked 3 people up, Volibear, Art on top of all of them, and it just insta-killed Barlow and FaZe. So, I mean, the fight was so in their way, and looks like they will actually start up this Baron. St. Clair doesn't have any vision on it, so they can't actually know that they're doing this. And with Dragon up in just under a minute, it could be a double objective here for McMaster. And I don't know if St. Clair wants to contest. They have an inhibitor down. So yeah, the Baron will go over. And with Dragon up in just a minute, I mean, St. Clair might just give this Dragon up and say, okay, we're going to fight at soul point.
That would be absolutely insane if it does end up getting to that point. Like, Saints need to find a way to somehow, like, get this thing, but we can see right here, right now, McMaster not wasting any time. Absolute beeline towards that Dragon Pit. We're probably gonna have ourselves yet another team fight where either, like, I think like one of the teams are going to live with like maybe one person left, or McMaster are just going to take this and take the game.
Yeah, I think the problem for St. Clair is if they lose this fight, they just lose the game because your inhibitor is gone in the mid lane, right?
Yep.
So it is respawning right now. This could be a pick, though, in the back line. Chain's going to land as well for both sides. Mid laner going to go down here for St. Clair, though. Fresh going to be taken down quite low, and that's going to be FaZe going down here in just a second. Ia going to get one in the back line, but it's going to be flashed on. Kane looking for the kill. Doesn't quite get it, but in the meanwhile, a double kill for this Misfortune. Ia trying to run away, and Barlow going to be the only one left here by the pit for St. Clair. Ia going to get it alive, but all his teammates are gone. Ehug, you are the only one left to try and defend this base. I don't think it's going to happen. And McMaster going to try and bring us into a game number 3.
Oh gosh, this is just deja vu from like a month or so ago. McMaster absolutely making a fantastic comeback and perfectly done. Even though Quinn's fanboy may have found himself in a position where they got caught, did not matter in the end. There's just so much more damage across the board. And unfortunately for the Saints, Sephiroth just got taken down before anything could happen. This game's too far gone, and we have ourselves a game number 3.
That was a close game for a long time, but that Volley Bear made a huge difference later on in that game. Played their team fight so well. And like I said, I talked about, the AoE in team fights is so important. And St. Clair, right at the end there, right by the Baron pit, they had hope. They got 2 picks. They killed the support and the ADC, but Kane hit a 3-man knockup. Volibear ults on top of it, and instantly 3 people for St. Clair are dead. So in the end, McMaster take it and bring us to a game number 3. And this is a way more exciting series than I thought it would be. Definitely going to be a really, really good game 3, and I can't wait to see it.
We were worried that this was just going to be a 2-0 one way or the other, and sure enough, not going to be the case. And from the ding in the headphones, we're going to be hopping into the next match very, very shortly. We are going to take this to another very, very quick 5-minute break to get the lobby up and running, but we are in for a treat. Of course, NACE playoff hopes on the line here in this game number 3. You do not want to miss out. We'll be right back.